28th of February, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi Terumah.
Good morning. Good Kodesh Adar. Erev Shabbos, Parsha Terumah, Shana Tashim Pei. Okay, very good. Let's begin with the Shulchan. There are a lot of things in the Mishkan that were commanded to be built. Let's take a look at the commands for the Shulchan that I think that would be in actually.
Okay, so we're starting verse 23,
Yes, I think so. That's right.
25, 23.
Good.
You shall make a shulchan of shittim wood, 2 amos its length, an amma its width, and an amma and a half its height. You shall cover it with pure gold, and you shall make for it a golden diadem all around. I think the diadem is like a small railing.
Okay. Very
I,
good.
I have a picture here.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Very good.
So diadem all around. You shall make for it a frame of 1 tefach all around. Excuse me. And you shall make a golden diadem for its frame all around. So the table has a diadem and the frame has a diadem, I guess. I don't see that in the picture. I just see one diadem in the picture. You shall make for it 4 rings of gold and place the rings upon the 4 corners of its 4 legs. Okay, I have another picture which shows the rings.
Oh, very good. That's right.
Let's see, does that picture show the diadem? Yeah, it shows only one diadem. Okay, I'm a little confused by the diadem, but you shall play, let's see, I lost my page here, just a second. Okay, here we are. 4 rings of gold and place the rings upon the 4 corners of its 4 legs. The rings shall be opposite the frame for housing the staves to carry the shulchan. You shall make the staves of shittim wood and cover them with gold, and the shulchan shall be carried through them. You shall make its dishes and its spoons and its tubes and its supports with which it shall be covered of pure gold shall you make them. On the shulchan you shall place the bread of surfaces before me. The bread of surfaces is the lechem panim, which we usually call the showbread. Okay,
Right.
now down to the menorah. So that's the end of the description of the shulchan.
Okay. Okay, let's see Rashi's here. Go back into
Okay.
Rashi's.
Rashi says, okay, its height, the height of its legs along with the thickness of the tabletop. So its height amma and a half its height. So Rashi's telling us that the height includes the tabletop.
Right. That's part of the amount of the height.
Okay. A golden diadem. This is a symbol of a royal crown. For the Shulchan expresses wealth and greatness, as they say, with reference to a sumptuously set table, a table of kings. Let's see, a frame. This is to be understood as it is rendered by Targum, Unclus, an enclosure. An enclosure. That's, I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought a frame meant the supporting part. It looks like, yeah, the picture shows it that way. The picture shows the frame is like the bottom part,
Right.
and then the top goes on top of the frame.
Right.
I wouldn't
And but
call it
the but the part which is like the crown. So where's that? That's part of the frame, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. In picture D, it shows that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Right. Very good.
So I'm a little confused by the idea of an enclosure. The Hebrew is gedanfa.
Well, I mean, when it's finally constructed, it's going to form an enclosure. It's going to be used as a a part of that tabletop will be have the frame around it.
Oh, I see. The top goes kind of inside.
Right. It's recessed.
Yeah, I see. Okay. The sages of Israel were in dispute about the matter. There are those who say it was above, surrounding the tabletop, like the border along the edge of no women's tables. Oh, I see. There's two pictures. One picture shows the frame on top, and the other picture shows the frame on the bottom. Uh, let's see. Uh, the no women's tables. That's picture A. And there are those who say that it was below the tabletop, set in place from leg to leg. That's what I was thinking. Uh, on on the four sides of the table, and the slab of the table, i.e., the tabletop, lies upon that frame. That's picture B.
Mhm. Right. So two different ways to look at it over here.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. I see that. So let's see. You shall make a golden diadem for its frame. Oh, I see. So now that we're not sure which is the frame, we're not sure which is where the diadem goes.
That's right. That's a question.
It is the same diadem mentioned above in the preceding verse. And here the Torah expressly tells you that it was on the frame. C and D below. Okay, so D shows it clearly on the frame on the bottom. C shows it on the frame on the top, obviously. it's not, C is not really so clear. Okay.
Yeah,
All
so that's going to be there are two separate ways of understanding this over here. Okay.
right. Right. Now the picture on the next page, I guess it's a little bit ambiguous. It shows the diadem, but it's a little bit unclear um, if it's on the bottom or the top, which is
Mm.
probably intentional.
Yeah, they probably want to avoid the that point. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Uh, okay, moving on in Rashi. The rings shall be opposite the frame, inserted into the table's legs, set over against the ends of the frame. Okay, that makes sense to me. For the housing for staves, those rings should be housings into which to insert the poles. For housings, this means for the purpose of housings for the poles, as rendered by Targum Onkelos, a place for the poles. And the table shall be carried through them. The verb v'nisa is in the nifal, indicating that it is a passive verb. Shulchan will be carried by means of them.
Uh-huh. Right. So that's we have to try and understand what this means. I would like to understand a little bit better. What does that mean that it's going to be the rings will be doing the carrying?
Yeah, I would assume so. But what does it mean, passive?
Nasa Nasa Bob that Nasa there it's not it's not that they are doing something that something's being done to them.
Right,
They are going to be carried, not that they are carrying, right?
right. It's the pole that's doing the carrying.
Right.
So it's a place, the rings are a place for the poles.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
You shall make its dishes and its spoons. Dishes refers to the form which was made in the form of the bread. I think it has a picture of the dishes and the spoons. Let's see. No, I don't. Oh, yeah, it does. Um, uh, no, I'm not sure what this picture is telling me.
Let's see, what's the picture showing you? Um, oh, that's showing you the right. That's the way the pole they're half circles, I think, no?
Yeah,
Rashi's describing they're being half circles.
yeah, yeah. So I guess that's what the bread was semicircular.
Um, how exactly it fit into these poles, I'm not sure.
Because in the picture on the previous page, it looks flat.
Right. But they're not supposed to be flat. That's what Rashi comes to tell us now.
And it says it's in the form of the bread. I
Mm,
always thought of it as a shelf, and the bread was on the shelf.
uh-huh. Um, not ex I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, but it's not like a flat shelf. That's the continuation of the Rashi here. See the rest of the Rashi here. He explains a little bit more detail.
The bread was made in the shape of a box, open on two sides. It had a lower surface at the bottom, and he would bend it upwards at this end and that to form something like walls. This is why it's called the bread of surfaces, for it has surfaces looking both ways toward the sides of the Beis Hamikdash from either direction. He would place the length of the bread across the width of the shulchan. The length of the bread across the width of the shulchan. Okay, that makes sense. Um, and the walls of the bread would be standing upright directly above the edge of the shulchan.
Oh, they must show you a picture of that, right?
Yeah, there's a picture here which it seems pretty clear to me, but it looks flat.
Well, flat meaning what are you referring to being flat?
The surface upon which the bread is resting would seem
Ah,
flat shelf.
right. Well, actually, okay. Well, yeah, because they're not showing you the that aspect of it because it's really resting on the poles, the inner poles. But we're
Oh,
gonna get
that's
to
what it
that shortly.
is.
Yeah, that's
It's
gonna
just
come up.
resting on the poles, but it would sag in that case.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's an amma wide. That's like a foot and a half to 2 feet. That's pretty big for bread.
right.
You would think it would sag if it wasn't supported. But you're right. I don't see anything that talks about shelves. Only thing
Right,
is the dishes.
right.
So maybe the dishes hook into the poles.
Let's see more Rashi here. Let's see how he explains it.
Okay. Um, a golden form and an iron form were made for each bread.
So these are the molds of the breads, right?
Okay. Um, and it was baked in the iron one. And when he would take it out of the oven on Friday, he would put it into the golden one until the following day, Shabbos, when he would arrange it on the shulchan. That form is called a dish.
So those are the dishes, right? Now we haven't gotten to how those dishes are being supported, right?
Right. And now we're moving on to its spoons. Its spoons, bowls in which they put frankincense, were there were two of them for the two handfuls of frankincense that they would put on the two stacks of bread, as it says, and you shall put upon the stack pure frankincense. And
Mhm.
its tubes, they are like hollow half reeds split along their length. Okay, though that's the semicircular thing. So it's not a
Right,
dish, it's a tube. So we still don't know what the dishes look like. He would make
right. There's no,
objects in their shape, i.e., the shape of split reeds out of gold, and he would arrange three of them above the top of each bread, so that one bread should rest on top of those reeds. So they are the supports, and they would
right.
separate.
Now, and they're spanning. They're spanning. What is it? We said it was an amma and a chetzi. That's is spanning one and a half ammas.
I thought the width was one amma.
So the breads are going from breadthwise, not going lengthwise.
And amma is its width.
Right.
So I presume that the shortest distance is what the bread spans.
Right. That's still going to be quite in. And these poles, these tubes, these half tubes are made of gold. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're going to be very heavy, which also, I mean, if they're resting on the bread, that's a lot of weight, depending on
Right.
how thick they are.
Yeah. That's not the thickness is not described to us. That's true.
But pure,
Okay.
pure gold is going to be soft. If it's very thin, it's going to collapse.
Yeah. It's not going to provide support over a long time period. All right. There are many. I mean, the Torah doesn't go into details about it, but there were many miracles that were involved in the not just the construction of the Mishkan, but also the way it was maintained and continued.
Right.
This is most likely one of them. That these poles being made of gold and malleable substance only, and then they're half poles too, meaning they're not really giving you so much support. They have pole, a tube, half tubes.
Right. Let's see. The tubes, they are like hollow half reeds split along their length. You would make objects in their shape, i.e., the shape of split reeds out of gold. And he would arrange three of them above the top of each bread so that one bread
Three,
could rest. Pardon?
right? Three across each spread. So I mean, so that in a certain way that it will distribute the weight somewhat.
Right. So that
Okay,
one bread should rest on top of those reeds,
right.
and they would separate between one bread and another so that the air could enter to circulate between them.
Oh, so this we've mentioned before. This is uh, a very big limit that you see in the construction of this particular point of the Shulchan, that Kadosh Baruch was commanding the construction be made in a way that the breads won't become spoiled. There should be sufficient air flow between the different breads.
Right. Which is kind of odd because the whole thing about the breads lasting a week was miraculous.
Right. This is what we mentioned exactly. The bread itself from week to weeks remained fresh. Right. So in
And
spite of
hot.
the fact, yeah, right, it was warm just like at the time it came out of the oven. So you see, even though that it was fresh as it was when it was taken out of the oven a week ago, nevertheless, in the construction of the shulchan, you wanted to take precautions that it shouldn't mold, shouldn't rot. And remember, there should be uh, space in between, which is important. It's an important lesson that when when you're designing things, you should design things in a way that uh, will be optimum for the in this case, like the bread, that it should be optimal for the bread, even though it's going to be existing from week to week with a miracle. Nevertheless, you still have to take into consideration whatever you can to make things as reasonably so uh, as possible.
Right.
Okay, very good.
The ports, this is to be understood as it is rendered by Targum Onkelos and its bearers. They are branches, golden pegs, i.e., columns of a sort, standing on the ground and rising considerably above the tabletop. Mhm. In line with the height of the stack of bread. There were 5 notches made in them, one above the other, and the ends of the reeds that were between the breads would rest upon those notches, so that the burden of the upper loaves of bread should not weigh heavily upon the lower ones.
So each level was independent in the other.
Right. So those things that they're calling the reeds were like shelves.
Right. Like struts. Like strut, right.
Right. And they would break. Oh, the breads would break if they had too much weight. The term Mechilasa means its bearers and is similar to the word hachil in the phrase, I am too worn out to bear. But I do not know how the Hebrew term minakios applies to branches.
So that's a separate question Rashi is asking there. That
Right,
how that expression is used in context of these poles, these reeds.
right. So if Rashi doesn't know, I don't know.
Yeah. Mhm. You have to look at the commentators on Rashi and see if they offers any explanation.
Right. Yeah, there's a footnote.
Well, yeah, what did they? Maybe they come up with something there.
No, it just says as opposed to the Aramaic term.
Ah,
It's a very short footnote.
okay.
There are those among the sages of Israel who say that the word kitsusav refers to the branches because they keep the bread firm and hold it so that it should not break. Um, uh, and the minakiosav are the reeds because they keep the bread clean so that it not become moldy. But
Oh,
uncle,
you see, here Rashi said, here Rashi is explaining that is you want to prevent the bread from getting moldy. That's a very insightful uh, point. That, as we mentioned, even though the whole thing is based on miracle.
right? But uncles who render minakiosav as its bearers express the opinion that the one who says that minakios, I'm sorry, express the opinion of the one who says that minakios are the branches. uh, with which it shall be covered. This means with which it shall be covered. Uh, and it is, oh, I see. He's using different Hebrew to say the same thing. Asher nechusa bahen, as opposed to asher yusach bahen. Um, and it is of the tubes that it says, with which it shall be covered. For they were on top of the bread as a sort of cover and screen. Similarly, elsewhere it says, and the tubes of covering. Both Yusach and Ha-Nasech are expressions of screen and covering. Bread of surfaces, lechem panim. It is called this because it had surfaces, as I explained above in the commentary of the previous verse. Um, the number of the bread and the order of its stacks are given explicitly in Parshas Emor El HaKohanim. And that's it. The next verse is the menorah.
Right. Yeah, so that's the shift, right? We go from the shift of the shulchan, which is represents the parnasa, the livelihood, the sustenance of people. Now we shift over to the menorah, which represents the wisdom, the light, the Torah of a person.
Right. So we have the Gashmius and the Ruchnius.
Right. So let's move on to the menorah now.
Okay. You shall make a menorah of pure gold, beaten out shall the menorah be made, its base, its branch, its goblets, its knobs, and its flowers shall be hammered from it. 6 branches emerging from its sides, 3 branches of the menorah from its one side, and 3 branches of the menorah from its second side. 3 goblets decorated on the one branch, and a knob and a flower, and 3 goblets decorated on the next branch, a knob and a flower. So for the 6 branches that emerge from the menorah. So I'm just looking at the picture here,
Right.
see what it's talking about with the knob and the flower.
Mhm. Well, that depends. There's difference of opinions on how the menorah was situated.
Right, right. Yeah, the picture goes into all of these things. Okay, anyway, where was it? And on the menorah there are 4 goblets decorated, its knobs and its flowers.
Right. So you have different components of the menorah. It's not, even though we're going to see it was all made of one um, block of gold. Nevertheless, it has different components. They're all formed the independently, but they're all coming from the same source of one block of gold.
Right. Uh, and a knob beneath the two branches from it, a knob beneath the two branches from it, and a knob beneath the two branches from it were the six branches that emerged from the menorah.
Mm.
So there's a bunch of different pictures here. I guess
Right,
there's different interpretations of how it looks.
right. You have various in the commentaries. You have different understandings of what Hashem was commanding here.
Right. Um, okay, so and their knobs and their branches shall be of it, all of it a single beaten out piece of pure gold. Shall make its lamps seven. He shall kindle its lamps, and it will cast light in the direction of the face. Its tongues and its scoops shall be of pure gold. A kikar of pure gold shall he make it with all these implements. See and construct according to their form that you are shown in the mountain. Okay, that's the end of the description of the menorah.
Right. And
Next,
that's all according to, that's as Rashi's quoting it, correct?
no, that's just the Torah I just read.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I haven't gotten to the Rashi yet.
Okay.
Okay, so the Rashi says, a lot of Rashi here. Uh, let's see, here's the end of the bread. Okay, so back to 31. Beaten out shall the menorah be made. The verse is saying that he should not make it of sections which can be assembled and taken apart, nor should he make its branches and lamps of separate pieces and connect them afterwards in the manner of metal workers, which they call solder in Old French. Sounds like solder. Rather,
Sounds like what, Ramon?
it sounds like solder,
Ah,
as in the the metal that you melt to connect wires, which wouldn't work for this kind of. You need to weld in this case, not solder. Give me a second. Hi, Yosef. Can I call you back in 10 minutes? Okay, I'll call you back when my class ends. Okay, so where was I? Solder in Old French. Rather, it should all come from a single piece. He beats it with a mallet and cuts it with craftsman's tools and separates the branches to either side. Beaten out. This is rendered by Targum Onkelos, an expression of drawing out, where the craftsman draws the parts of the menorah out of the solid block of gold on either side through the beating of the mallet. The term miksha means the blow of the mallet. In Old French, batadik, like the word nakshan, in the phrase knocking against each other. Shall the menorah be made on its own? Because Moses was perplexed by the way in which it was to be made. The Holy One, blessed is he, said to him, throw the kikar of gold into the fire, and it will be made by itself. This is why the verse was not written, you shall make. Really? I thought it was written, you shall make. Let's see. Yeah, it says 31. Vasisa menoras zahav. You shall make a menorah of gold. But what does Rashi mean? L'chach lo nichsav ta'aseh. Doesn't say ta'aseh, it says va'asisa. Apparently there's a difference between ta'aseh and asisa. But the English translates it as you shall make. Okay, I don't understand that. As a footnote says, when God said to Moses, you shall make a menorah of pure gold, and went on to describe the details, Moses was perplexed. He did not understand how it was to be made. So God showed him a replica of the menorah made of fire. Nevertheless, Moses was still perplexed. So God instructed him to have Bezalel throw the gold into the fire. The Torah therefore uses the passive ta'aseh ha-menorah. The menorah shall be made. Oh, so the translation does not match the footnote. The translation says you shall make a menorah of pure gold, but footnote says it should be the menorah shall be made of pure gold. Okay. And spelled with an addition.
In choosing the type of gold which you're going to use for the menorah, you should find the purest gold available.
When it says Zahav Tahor, you're referring to?
Yes, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay. So it'd be made on its own by being thrown in the fire. So it shall be made. Its base, literally its thigh. This is the foot at the bottom. Let's see what that looks like. It has like a block of gold at the bottom. It's the foot.
right. There are also steps. There are also steps leading to that, I think. Also, we'll get to that.
Right. Yeah, that's not in this picture. See if they have steps. No, they don't show a picture of the steps. So the foot, this is the foot at the bottom, which is made in the shape of a box, and three legs extend downward from it. Okay, and they have a picture showing that. It's like this.
Let's see. Yeah, all right. That's the base. Very good.
Um, and its branch, this is its middle branch. which ascends from the middle of the base, standing upright vertically. Upon it was the middle lamp, which was made like a bowl to pour the oil into it.
So
And to,
this was these. That's what I'm wondering about. These were independent from the menorah itself.
according to the picture, it's all one piece.
Mhm.
You've got the base there, and then you have the straight rod coming up, straight up, and on the top of it is a bowl. Let's see.
I'm just wondering. I'm not just. I'm just wondering if pure gold stands up to a flame very well.
Right,
This could be also another miracle that we see there. That
right. Yeah,
normally I would
I have no
suspect.
idea what the multi-point of gold is.
Uh,
Just because it's soft doesn't mean it melts easily.
that's true. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. It extends up. The middle branch goes straight up. Uh, uh, and the lamp is on top of it. It's like a bowl. To pour oil into it and to put the wick into it. Um, so I'm assuming it was a floating wick. I'm assuming it was like we have today, where you have like a piece of cork and
Uh,
you stick the wick through it.
yeah, that's not clear exactly how the wick was supported. I mean, um, yeah, sometimes what they used to do is just rest the wick on the side of the container, and it would just be enough. Not that it was floating, but it would just be supported by the container it was in.
Right, right. Okay, it's goblets. Um,
Well, now here I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand a little bit about what these goblets. What's this reference to the goblets?
right, right. Now the goblets. Um, the goblets are like cups, according to the picture. Uh, it says they are like cups, which they make in our day of glass, which are long and narrow, and they call them moderns in Old French. These goblets of the menorah are made of gold, and they protrude and extend from each branch. I can see how Moses was perplexed because how could you possibly make these with a hammer? They're
Right,
complex shapes here that I don't see how you could possibly form them. Uh, they protrude and extend from each branch.
right.
Yeah. Uh, in the amount given them by Scripture, they were on the menorah for decoration only. I think that time is up. Just a second, Yitzhak. Rabbi, I think our time is up.
Mhm. Okay, okay. All right, fine. So, yeah, as when you're going through this is, it's important to try and see what not just the basic descriptions, but also to see if there are any hidden miracles in the construction and in the functioning of the various different aspects of the Mishkan.
Right.
Okay, very
Have a
good.
good Shabbos. Thank you.
A good Chodesh to you, Rosh Chodesh Adar. You should have a good Shabbos as well, Mitzvah Hashem. Hope to see you in Mishon.
Good Chodesh to you, Rabbi, too. See you in
Thank you. Be
Minchester
well.
on Sunday.
Thank you. Be well. Bye.